Welcome to hour one, everybody. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the introduction that me and Kurt did earlier. And this is the very first segment of MogTalk 100 is going to be absolutely interesting. That's what I'm going to say. Absolutely interesting. All
Absolutely.
right? Absolutely interesting. You guys, if you watch the show, you should be familiar with these guys. I don't know why I did that accent. Screw it. First, of course, we have ShamanArkk. ShamanArkk, how are you doing, dude?
I'm doing awesome. There's just like tons of games to be playing right now, like Zelda, for example, as you were already talking about.
Yeah.
I actually haven't got a chance to play it. I downloaded it. It's on my Wii U. We're playing it probably next weekend.
You're not going to stop playing it after you start it.
I know, right? And I've been catching up a bunch of like Steam games like Undertale. I've never got a chance to play that game, and it's absolutely amazing. So like, yeah,
Undertale's kind of quick.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, if you do all the game modes, right, which is worth it to do. If anyone hasn't played it before, it's amazing. Yeah, I've just been going through like my bucket list for games while I wait for the expansion to come out. It's been good times.
It's time to do it.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's what I did last time too. So.
Okay, so first, I got a quick question for you. So, can you remember the shows that you've been on at all?
No. No, mostly. Okay, I do remember. I remember the topics, but I couldn't tell you a number. It's like mostly rating shows, mostly rated leading shows, and then some hype patch note shows and stuff like that. Those are like the primary ones. And there's maybe some outliers between there, but like it has to be over like close to 15 or more, right?
Oh yeah, maybe. He's throwing a guesstimate out there saying he's been on more than you, Balana.
Yeah,
I think he has actually.
Yeah.
Looking at the recap before.
He's been on a good amount.
That's what I'm kind of basing it off of, just what you showed recently. So.
Yeah.
I'll say like around 15. Let's say around 15. Could be more.
15's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So Balana, of course, you guys should be familiar with him, the guy who's been growing his beard throughout the course of the show.
Yeah.
So Balana, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Been loving the new Zelda game. Actually didn't sleep 2 nights last week, so I was just like, I gotta play some more Zelda.
Oh my god. It's funny, I haven't played it more than like maybe 30 minutes or so because Kerr's been on the entire time. I'm just like, I don't want to be around when she's playing it. I'm just gonna let her finish the game and I'll go back. I still haven't finished 15 yet either. I've been just trying to power through that too, but I'll get it.
But I got that and Nier and a bunch of other games in my backlog, like what was that one? Torment Ties of Numenera. Get around to that one. And yeah, been doing great. How about you, Frosty?
How you been, man? I'm doing good. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I basically had to adjust my work schedule and get someone to cover my on-call today so I could do MogTalk 100.
Nice. Well, it's too early in the day to be tired, so have Kara get you some coffee.
A second cup of coffee, I'm sure.
Yeah. Infuse it directly into your bloodstream. Let's get that syringe out.
Balana, can you remember the episodes you've been on?
Well, I did a little bit of homework. So yes, I've been on episode 48, The Caster Show, 53, which is called Afternoon Coffee, actually. 54, Early Savage, where we went over A5S. 56, where we went over A6 Savage. 64, The Pros and Woes Progression, where I was on there with Zeno. So on episode 67, which was the A7 show. 71, where we first went over Deep Dungeon. 75, which was we went over some tidbits in rating Yoshida had gone over. 82, which is a FanFest special. 86, where we talked about Live Letter 33, and 98, which was the second caster show.
Well, Jesus.
He gets like a Frosty Award now, right? Like,
yeah, you guys.
Award, that's what it is.
In the mail, I'll send it over.
I was a runner-up apparently. I didn't remember all the shows, so.
That's what you get. You just don't care about the show enough, man.
Nah, not bad, really.
I was just checking this morning because I was like, I said last time I was on the show, it's been on here 10 times, and I was going through them and like, wait, it sounds like there's 12, and I went through them like, was it 12 or 11? This is the 12th time I've been on here. So
there you go. Okay, so the other question I have for you guys is, you remember, you guys kind of pioneered with me the segment where we went over raid videos and everything. I kind of stopped doing that. I didn't realize that I strayed away from that for so long. But like, I don't know if I should. It's like a neat thing, but like it feels kind of weird to do that more like consistently in any way. What do you guys think about those?
They
was fun.
Yeah, they were fun.
But like the fights got a lot simpler, right? So that's maybe not a bad thing too. Like it's just a matter of like how useful does the community find it at this point now, right?
Yeah.
We could just do it to have a lot of fun and maybe make some jokes about stupid things we've done in them. But
that's actually a pretty good point. I don't think about it a lot, but a lot of times the show has to evolve with what the community's looking at too. It can't be just, all right, well, we're going to do the exact same thing, even though the community is changing in interest and what's going on with the game and interest and everything else. Because right now you don't need people to walk you through these turns. You can pretty much just get it figured out on your own. So I guess that's part of what the show has to do, is just evolve and change constantly. And it's not always going to be the exact type of show. It's a huge variety show. It's like insane, the topics that we've covered, the range of that at least. So of course we're going to go into some Yoshi questions, but I figured we'll spend that first 10, 15 minutes or so. I want to ask you guys some questions, if that's all right. Okay? I'm going to ask you guys a few things. First, I want to ask you guys, what was your first impression of the show when you first found out what it was? And I'll start with, I'll start with you, Balana.
Oh, gosh, I don't even remember. That was 2 years ago. I thought it was pretty cool that you're reaching out to the community and getting people to kind of represent their jobs. Actually, I remember what it was, is when you had Odo on. I'm like, what's this MogTalk show? What's Odo doing here? Mm-hmm. I kind of checked out that, and that was pretty cool. It really wasn't as much a community-focused show as kind of what yours is kind of falling into. Sure, we have topics every week that you go over,
right?
But really more is this taking members of the community and seeing how they feel about these topics, and then it's progressed from that point. You're actually getting actual members of SE on here and questions from Yoshida. So for us to moving on up in the world,
it's been a huge improvement. Seeing that first 50 episodes, it was amateur year completely. This last one was the same thing, but it's I've had more access to things to be able to have these kind of interviews, like talking to Susan Calloway or talking to getting a question from Yoshida or bringing Matt Hilton on the show. That was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. But okay, Ark, what was your first impression of MogTalk when I first introduced it to you?
Well, I'm pretty sure I've told you this story before, but the first time I saw you was when you were on Mr. Happy's podcast, right? And I remember I was listening because I was kind of following a lot of stuff Mr. Happy had been doing, and I was listening to you talk on that. And I just loved how you always kind of looked at both sides of the coin. You always kind of you were more interested in you would talk about the unpopular kind of part of the topic, it's well, everyone thinks this way, but what about this way? This is another way to think about it, right? And I thought that's something I'm I really like that. That's the kind of thing that's the way I like to talk about stuff too. So then and I that was obviously advertising MogTalk. So then I go and see a MogTalk. That's just basically what every episode is. It's just you kind of making sure we get these opinions out. You talk about the popular stuff, you talk about the unpopular stuff, you find stuff in between, and it's just a great source of perspective is important. Player perspective is very important, and it's helpful for every player. So you really need to understand everyone's opinions, and that's what MogTalk does, right? You watch MogTalk, and you're going to see people who think the complete opposite of you.
You guys don't have to sweet talk me, by the way.
Oh no, I want that award, man. Can I still have a shot at it?
Yeah, I'll send it over to you.
But no, that's why I like MogTalk. That's what I like about MogTalk. It's just exactly that. It's I get to get more player perspective of other players. I get to see how world first players think. I get to see how speedrunners think. I get to see how casual players think, and that makes it so it's a lot easier for me to kind of interact and play with those people and just make friends with them rather than maybe trying to conform to the same kind of play style.
Skip soar.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you guys actually had a relatively decent impression. I was hoping that you'd be like, oh, yeah, that guy, what the fuck is this jackoff trying to do? Oh, yeah, I'll go in there and mess with him. Yeah, we'll get on his show. I'll show.
You think we would have come on if it was like that?
I don't know. I think there are people out there who's like, man, I want to get on this show, and I just want to get on there and just make him look stupid. I know there's some people. Nah, I don't know. I don't really know this stuff.
But you're such a nice and disarming guy. How could everybody come on here and hate on you?
I don't know.
I think you're describing trolls, Frosty.
It's funny. I
just thought we were all trolls there.
So I put up an episode recently, and I was talking about something, and I completely messed up what Soul Survivor did by saying that you could only target allies, because that's how it was at first. It kind of had that mistranslation at the beginning, and so it just stuck with me, and I've never really got in detail with that. But some guy just railed me on it. He's like, why don't you know this? You're really stupid. You host a show, you should know better. I'm like, okay, I get it. And he just kept going. I'm like, there's a stopping point to this, you know? You could say it, and then it's understood and it's done. You don't have to just keep railing into it. And so there's been things like that. I'm like, there's some people out there like that.
The hater's gonna hate.
That's all right. Okay, so right now, you know, MogTalk was at a certain point a year ago, and now it's at the point it is right now. I don't get to... Do you guys... I know Elysium. I bet Elysium's had a couple of conversations like, oh, MogTalk's stupid because of this. MogTalk's great because of this. MogTalk's what? Tell me all the secrets and all the stuff that people are saying behind my back, Balana.
I don't know. They usually don't talk about you. They just talk about the people that have come on. They're like, oh, did you see so-and-so on there? Oh, he looks goofy. Or, oh, did you see Balana's beard?
Okay, awesome. All right, good. I was standing next to your FC house the other day, and I forget who it was, but they were just like, I can't believe you didn't let Seller talk more. What's wrong with you? He should have been able to talk more. I was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, Ark, I'm gonna get your opinion. What do you while talking to people while I'm not around? What are people saying about MogTalk? What do people say? What does Izu say about MogTalk? Does she gripe?
No, she likes the little goofy things that occur here and there, like when you're this is not MogTalk, but like when you're streaming and you're just like bloop when you put cover up and stuff like that, right? I saw that was good. No, she's looking for those little moments, right?
Oh, okay.
Just like okay, I'll put this is kind of relevant, but like randomly all the time I always get this random conversation, like maybe we're talking about you, or I might be on the show coming up soon, or we were watching it, and she just is like, I can't believe that he started that show early, and she still keeps saying that to me, talking about your Mog 50 show. She's like, I can't believe that could have happened. There are so many people that should have said something to him. I can't believe he got confused. There's Kerr there, like, and that conversation comes up like every like once a month probably. It's just she just points that out. I'm like, I know it was weird, but
That's hilarious.
I don't know where this is coming from, but yeah, that is.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. It's never gonna die. It's never gonna die, man.
No. Well, just as long as you're never late again or early again.
Yeah, I'm never gonna be early again. I'll be late from now on. I'll make sure I'm late.
You gotta be late an hour once to balance it out.
Yeah, Jesus.
But that's because you specifically asked what Easy says.
Yeah. I'm always good.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say, outside of that, like, no, there's not like, no, it's usually pretty positive. It's I think the most I ever hear that's like gives me like a whole like hear the haters and the non-haters is usually just Reddit, which you've probably read all those comments or a good amount of them. So I don't have to kind of say them again. Some of the criticism is fair. Some of it's like just trolling, right? But
right.
It's like, when I say fair, I mean like, oh, you don't like this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's tough, to be honest with you, with making this show. It's tough to get real criticism sometimes because there are people on Reddit that will say things just to say something bad. Like, they're not trying to say something bad about the show. They're just trying to start something, right? For example, if you're a popular YouTuber or something and they go and they're like, I can't believe this guy's a racist. And it's just like, there's nothing that person's ever said that was racist. Just some person on Reddit is trying to create this whole illusion that there's an issue just to cause problems. And so I have to go in there and like try to filter some of that stuff out because I really need constructive criticism, right? I need people to say, hey, this is bad. You need to fix this. You need to start working on this. I mean, it sucks because, again, I have kind of limited means when making this show with my work schedule being crazy, but like I still want to produce a good show. Mm-hmm. Which kind of brings me into a point, like I'm hoping that at some point I will eventually get to make this into more of an organization instead of just me doing this show. I'm going to look up podcasts, like big professional podcasts, see what kind of positions they have for people on their show, and then just create this whole outline. At first, it's going to be Frosty TV, Frosty TV, Frosty TV, Frosty TV for every single position. But then I'm going to try to get people into those roles, maybe. And I'm not going to pay them anything because I don't have money. But I was thinking if I could do that and create something, because there's a couple of really cool things out there. For example, Moogle Post, right? They operate completely with volunteer work, but they have tons of people in different positions helping them with writing, editing, everything else. And it's amazing over a year that they were able to create something like that. And I feel like MogTalk could eventually have something sort of similar to that just to get things rolling so I can get a better produced show in the end.
The tricky thing though is with like podcast, most of those roles are going to be technical ones, and it'd be difficult to do like remotely unless you have somebody moving into your house and helping you set up your lighting, or going over to your guest place and getting them a better microphone.
Right.
Like, a lot of those positions are going to be, technically based for podcast production.
Yeah, it's tough, especially because it's live and it's at very specific times too. So like it really limits the people you can get to do that, and when they're available, they can't always 100% commit to it, right?
Well, the position I'm thinking about are things like people who could hype the show up, could actually go out there and say, hey, this is the show, and could go out and do all of that, because I'm really bad at that. I feel like I want to create something that has some anticipation to it, but if I can't go out there and say it's actually happening and get the word out, then I'm, maybe not a lot of people going out there. A lot of stuff that has happened for the show has all been like word of mouth. And like I go on Twitter, I'm like, I post something on Twitter, and then people who are already watching the show follow me on Twitter, so it doesn't really, I mean, it does help, but it's like there's better things I could do. I could have a better managed website, right? There's also someone I could have to maybe go and show coordinate, right? Say, all right, I need to get these guests together, and these guests need to get these things together, and get some of the little work out of the way. And maybe it's just thoughts I had in the shower one day, all right?
Yeah, I could see a value in that.
Yeah, and so just little things, nothing too crazy, but I think it would eventually make a better show going into the future. And honestly, with MogTalk 100 now, so we had a 1-year episode. Now we have MogTalk 100. What's the next big special? Because we need to do this every year, right? We have to have a big special every single year. Is it just year 3? We're just going to call it year 3?
I mean, yeah, you celebrate each year. What's wrong with that?
Okay. Because
awesome.
What?
But
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's like, I always again, this is something that I always say is like, how the heck does Frosty have a full-time job, lead a raid group, and then do like streaming and MogTalk, and not be like, how is he not dead right now? I don't understand.
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm already past that point. I'm just an apparition now.
If you told me you were undead, I would have believed it. There's at least a 50% chance of that. That, or you just don't sleep. I don't know. It's which
sometimes I don't. I got little sleep last night making that highlight reel. But
so you getting more help sounds like a very good idea to me.
Maybe. Okay. All right. So going forward with this, we're going to get into Yoshida's questions soon, but I do want to get you guys I'm going to ask you guys one more question here before we get into the Yoshida questions. Tell me one thing negative about this show that's constructive as well. It can't be just like, Frosty, your shirt's a little wrinkled. Come on. All right. So Balana, I'm going to start with you, dude.
A lot of little audio hiccups that happen here and there, like especially when your VLC player was making those nice noises.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. Fair enough.
Like a way to improve that would be to test it beforehand.
Well, the thing is, like, I didn't know that VLC, like, basically I did test it, but then VLC had an ending part to it, and I didn't play the entire video while starting it. Right. So I need to learn from that and just make sure that is there a setting in VLC where I can say, don't ping me when you're done playing a video?
Mine doesn't do that, so I don't know.
That's so weird. Okay. There you go. Audio, right? Audio, is that it? Sure.
And I've heard Skype go off a few times, during it.
I've gotten rid of that. I've gotten rid of Skype ping noises, so that's good.
Nice.
All right. Ark?
I mean, I guess I haven't totally watched some of your most recent shows, but
not getting that award, dude.
I know, I'm not getting that award. But my opinion is just in general, which I think is something that's always been improving about this show, is, but I don't like when podcasts or any kind of like community event, some kind of community get together or something that like people kind of reference for knowledge or anything. I don't like that when that spreads a lot of the salt, like that spreads a lot of the gripes that people have. Sometimes they're very illogical, but they just spread throughout the community to the point where it's just if you don't make fun of this one thing, if you don't think this one way, then you're going to get kind of like discriminated against or alienated against. And then when that comes onto the podcast sometimes on MogTalk, which it does sometimes, and it's not really your fault, and you do fight against it sometimes too. And
sometimes I fight for it if I'm grumpy enough. Yeah,
and it's also sometimes their opinion too, right? Which is fine, but like more along the lines of like, you don't want to promote that too much. You don't want that to spread too much because it can be kind of harmful to the game, right? When it goes too far. And then MogTalk, this will sound weird to you, but MogTalk, it has some power. It has some say. It changes the way people think. It does a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe a lot. I don't know, but I think I definitely have seen. It definitely does change the way people think. At least the people I know who really like it. So it's nice when that salt's just kind of not. It's just toned down a bit there. It's good to know about it though. I really like the knowledge is out there, but let's be like, that is salt. That's
don't
salt.
be elitist assholes, basically. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
I did not say that.
All right. Okay, so I figured that's good. I wanted to get a little bit of that out of the way. I'm going to get into these questions. You guys have seen what the questions look like now. I'm going to go through and I'm going to read every question. I'm going to give you a quick story about how that happened too. So before the 100th episode, I was like, I want to have something slightly special for this, something that people are like, holy crap, this could be good information. So I sent out 8 questions over and worked with the community team to get this over to Yoshida to see if they could, for MogTalk 100, if they could just answer some of these questions. And in that whole process of that happening, some of these questions got answered by other resources. So there's going to be a couple of redundant bits of information here, but I'm going to go through them anyways because I worked hard to get this, guys. And so I want to just read it out. And I'm not going to try to give any kind of like super negative opinion. It's just going to be, here's the information. I don't want them to regret giving me these answers to these questions, but we're going to go over them and we're going to comment on them a little bit. The first question I have is a question that I hold pretty dear. This is the only question out of the 8. If none of the other questions got answered, I wouldn't care. And the reason why is because this spawned this whole thought process in my mind about what's going on with hardcore rating currently and what easy fixes, what are logical fixes that Square Enix could do. And some people might like the idea, some people might hate the idea, but I'm going to give Layla the shout out for seeding this in my mind and making me want to seek out the answer to this. I stood on chairs and waved my arms at NA FanFest to try to get this answered and it didn't get answered. So it's now answered. So the first question, let me make sure I got it pulled up over here in my document. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So the first question is in regards to hardcore raid achievements. Achievements have been a pretty big part of the game for rewards. Is the possibility of introducing hardcore raid achievements for doing fights in different manners something raiders can look forward to? For example, completing a fight by doing a mechanic in a very punishing manner for clearing it, giving them a cool glamour if they complete all the achievements for a raid tier. This seems like a cost-efficient way to keep hardcore raiders interested in the game. Now, you guys are familiar with this kind of like from WoW, right? They kind of have something similar to this. And I thought this was a pretty good thing to do. And so this is Yoshida's official response to this question. Yoshida, this is a great idea. We would need to create a system that could monitor things like whether or not player created or player cleared the content using an atypical method. For example, if the theme was defeat Titan Extreme at minimum eye level, we would have to monitor if all the members are indeed at minimum eye level and defeat Titan Extreme during the battle. That kind of system currently does not exist in Final Fantasy XIV, so we would have to develop it from scratch. That being said, I do think it's a very good idea, so I'll try to consider something after we finish developing 4.0.
Oh, that's a pretty good response right there, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. So if you guys are looking for hardcore achievements, look forward to it after the expansion sometime, maybe.
Probably after the next expansion.
Well, maybe. He said 4.0, so and when he's talking about 4.0, I'm hoping he means 4.0 and not after the entire expansion's over. I'm thinking more like, hey, we released the expansion, now we're going to start working on it.
Mm-hmm. He said he likes the idea. That's the key, right? Which means that he'll put it in the game at some point. Let's not get our expectations up for after 4.0.
Right.
We don't have add-ons yet, for example. So
there's certain things.
But he likes it. It'll eventually be in the game. MMOs take a long time to develop when they're at their golden state. So it'd be interesting, and he's thinking about it now. So the process of this is starting, and it's going to give hardcore raiders something extra to do, which I think is something good. After they get the system developed, it should be pretty simple to kind of update that. It's not going to cost them a lot to entertain people. So, All right. So the next question is about the debuffs certain jobs have.
My question was, most players rule buffs and debuffs as the biggest contributor to imbalance between jobs currently. For example, bringing a paladin in the Soul of Creator results in higher damage to the raid team, unless you bring a monk, which results in lower raid buffs, causing a reduction in damage output from the raid team. In Stormblood, should we expect major changes to the way that job buffs and debuffs work? So, the answer to that from Yoshida. Of course, the development team is very aware of the situation. As an MMORPG, we traditionally want to keep these unique job traits. But on the flip side, players strongly desire fairness and equality. The development team has already reached our verdict, and we are working towards that for 4.0. And I intend on providing an update to all players via the live letter, or something of the like. That said, I'm afraid I can't go into details here, but I did want to relay to you that the development team is having deep discussions and developing on the same points everyone is talking about.
Please look forward to it.
Please look forward to it, basically. Basically, they're trying to balance out, and one of the parts of balancing out the jobs right now is with buffs and debuffs.
Mm-hmm. I like how he basically said, yeah, balancing classes is a good idea. I'm going to do that. We're already doing that, actually.
Yeah.
That's what he
sort of, right.
We're balancing the classes.
But I was curious in how they were going to balance it with the debuffs part, right? Because that's a big major part of the jobs. You bring in this job, this is their benefit. This is why we bring this job. And so to get everything more balanced, they have to balance those out. And so removing them completely is probably not going to happen, but probably reducing it.
I feel awful. I still like, for me, MMO flavors is very important. I love that people can express themselves with their class. It's really important. So when they all seem the same, when they all, it's too equal, that's I think that's worse, honestly. But
nah. But we can expect changes to buffs and debuffs for sure. That is going to happen. But I mean, they probably already kind of declared that, and they've hinted towards it a little bit. But this is the confirmation for it. Okay. So the next question is something a lot of people think about, which is in regards to raids in Stormblood. Most players agree that the difficulty of the 3 different raid tiers of Alexander started with Gordius as the hardest and ending with Creator being the easiest. When discussing the matter, it seems players also agree it should have been reversed, and the hardest raid should be the ending raid of the expansion. Was it intended to have the difficulty play out the way it did in Alexander, and should we expect it to play out the same for raid tiers in Stormblood? And this is my response from Yoshida. No, as you've pointed out, the difficulty level of raids should start with the beginning being the most casual and become more difficult as the series progresses. The reason why it was not the case for Alexander is clear. After finishing development on the Bahamut series, there was feedback from all around the world saying we want to create more difficult content, which led to the creation of Alexander Gordius Savage at an extremely high difficulty level. However, as you are no doubt aware, there was feedback from all over the world saying it's too hard, which led us to lower the difficulty from there. It was truly a learning experience for us. So for the next raid content, Omega, we will make it so that you will gradually feel the challenge building as the patches progress and the raid content is implemented. So the goal is the easier one at the beginning, the harder one at the very end.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I mean, it's the biggest thing to take out of that response is just that, yeah, we know and we're learning from that. It's good to know that they're willing to learn from past implementations and move forward with it, and they agree that it should be scaling difficulty like that between the different raid tiers.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I'm gonna see from that is that on that first raid that comes out for the expansion, we can expect it to be not super difficulty or super difficult. So I don't know what the difficulty will be for that, but it's supposed to be an incline, and hopefully over this expansion they learned what is difficult and what's not difficult.
Yeah, what you're going to probably see is that I think the middle one is always going to be considered the easiest, because even if the difficulty of the raid tier of the first raid is the easiest, like for the actual raid content, that rush to get used to all the changes in the expansion for class and how to gear up and how the new loot system or any new systems work, all the changes that occur is still going to kind of be the most difficult part of the first raid tier, which was one of the reasons why Gordius was so brutal, is because it was at the start when people were like, wow, all these new things for my class, all these new systems. I have to like learn how to plan out my pages properly to gear up smart. I have to do all these other things to gear up and stuff like that, and learn the classes and how they interact with each other. And the interactions part's the hardest part.
Well, I will hopefully predict that it will be first and second will be kind of even if you take that into account.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay.
Likely.
All right. So going on to the next segment here is PvP. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about PvP, and this is a question that a lot of people had asked, and we'll see. I mean, you guys will just hear the response, whether you like it or not. At the moment, every PvPer I have spoken to has claimed the disable of chat in Feast as a major factor to why they don't want to participate in it anymore. While it's understood that this is meant to reduce toxicity, it harms the competitive strategies players may develop, as well as a means to teach other players. Are there any plans to revert this change? It's a very short response. Yoshida said, I'm planning to make a forum post addressing this by the release of Stormblood. If you would so kindly stand by for more information.
That's a long time away.
Yeah. So at the moment, you guys expect Feast Chat to be there. For Season 4 and going forward, it's going to be there as in disabled. Sorry. The disable of Feast Chat being there. And that's probably not the response a lot of people are looking for, but that's what it is at the moment. And then he will have a response going into Stormblood with if they're going to keep it or remove it as a forum post personally from him. And that's it. If you ask the question, I know a lot of people are asking this and they're wanting this answered, but this is what we're waiting for is a forum post around Stormblood. So
I mean, I got firsthand the impact of it because like easy PvP so much, and I know it's and she always says to me, she's like, I wish Light Party was the way that people did PvP. Like I wish that solo queue was the casual one, and then you can take away chat and no one really cares, and then Light Party was the way to do it. Part of that's on the players, but part of that's just on the rewards the game gives. But
well, I mean,
I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but like Light Party would be the an assigned party size where you go in with people you know would be the best way for PvP to move forward for arena style.
Well, if you could do Light Party without having a full group, that would be good too.
Role restriction might like the things that you need to look at is maybe removing role restriction for light parties, maybe reducing the size of it so that more people are doing it. It's more, and also that should be where all the major rewards are too.
Yeah,
I don't want to go too deep into that, but like like that's what WoW does, and they're fine with arena. Like I don't know, it's
yeah. I think a fix that they could do for that for the chat is what they might do actually is make it so you can only use the auto translate function.
That wouldn't be well. I mean, people
get creative.
You can still get pretty creative with that, but
again, I'm not sure how much of this has been talked about. But like what Easy says is that people just like even with the chat it is now, people still troll because they'll just do like spam like hello when they're like really upset or mad or something like that, right? Like they still troll with what it is. It's not a good fix for the problem.
Yeah. But right now it is the way it is, so play it how it is, and then we'll see how that changes going forward in the future. This next question might interest you a little bit more, though, and I want to talk about the growing competitive PvP scene. The question was, the matches at the various FanFest were definitely a highlight for any player who enjoys a competitive PvP match for Final Fantasy XIV. What can the avid PvP players look forward to in regards to competitions such as the ones held at the events this year? And this was Yoshida's response. We are currently discussing with different partners in order to consider various initiatives such as events and online matches. This may take a while until we can divulge any information, but hone your skills and stand by for more news to come.
Esports now, baby.
Esports now. So this means that he said that he is talking to different partners, considering doing things with events and online matches. So we are going to have a competitive PvP scene coming up, similar to maybe some other, not as big, of course, at the start, but we are going to see something that's taken a lot more seriously for PvP and with rewards, I'm assuming, and everything else.
And you're going to bet those are pre-made teams. That's like, those are, right? Like, that's not like a bunch of people just randomly pulled together and then they're like, play together.
Yeah, no.
There's going to be teams, and maybe that'll help too, because maybe that will, like we were just talking about, maybe that'll move towards the light party, the pre-made PvP style will become more popular. Hopefully.
Yeah, I was worried that like it was just going to be a thing they did at FanFest and just drop it, and they just weren't going to go forward with PvP being very competitive. They were just like, we do it here because it's an event that you guys might like, but they are taking it seriously going forward. Is that what I took from that response? Is that they're hoping to eventually improve upon that. Okay, I have some other questions here. This one has been answered, but we're going to read it off anyways. All right? This is talking about the imbalance of tanks and healers going into the expansion. My question was, one of the biggest concerns with introducing both Red Mage and Samurai as DPS jobs is the imbalance of tanks and healers it will result in. It's understood that some people will eventually go back to the roles they started with, but undoubtedly it will be somewhat of an issue, especially at the beginning of the expansion. Is there anything being done to combat this for at least the first month or so of Stormblood? So, Yoshida's response was, based on the data from Heavensward's released, we found that many players who play as a tank typically prioritize leveling their current main job. This is due to the fact that 2 weeks after the release, we normally introduce new Allegan tombstones and raids such as Omega, and they will want to beef up their main job in order to clear the content. In fact, it seems in many cases these players will play the new jobs after their main job has reached the cap and they have some free time on their hands. People who play the new DPS job from the get-go tend to be people who already play a DPS as their main job. Also, there are many ways to level up your character, such as deep dungeon, fates, and in addition to matchmaking content like dungeons. So utilize, or he was comparing that to the dungeons that we were worried about. So utilizing those, I don't think there will be much of an issue. Currently, the most effective leveling content is the Palace of the Dead. So this is pretty much the same answer he has given before. The one thing that I'm really pulling from this is that people will level up their main jobs first. And so out the door, there are expectations that they are going to be the same balance of tanks and healers and everything else. Now, my only statement to that is I do think there will be, if you level up and your tank, or you level up as a DPS, right? If you level up as a DPS at level 60 going forward to the main story quest, you may have insta-queues for DPS if you start at level 60 going forward, because all the other ones are going to be at level 50, right? And so there's going to be a shrink in the DPS pool from everyone that's leveling up at the same time. So if you level up your main DPS job, I still think you're going to get pretty good queues until like a week happens and then everyone's like kind of overflooded in there. And then if you're slow, you're not going to get a fast queue. That's what I think. I saw Ark's face. Ark, go ahead and say what you want to say, man.
I'm just like, what wasn't I guess I thought this question was more about the fact that we're not getting another tank or healer. Maybe I misunderstood it.
Well, his thought
now
is,
we're talking about leveling though, but
well, yeah. No, the question was what was going to be if the balance right now when going through dungeons is kind of what the question was aimed at. Sorry.
So for dungeons. No, well, I get that.
Yeah. Because I mean, you don't want to sit in queue waiting for a tank for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
That's why I always level summoner first. So you switch to scholar for that,
You cheater.
Yeah. Just knock it out.
But that actually reminds me at PAX today. The first question asked was, is the reason why Alamigo and Doma fell because they didn't have anybody playing tanks or healers over there.
I really wish they would ask a serious question though, so we get like real information. But like. Yeah. Oh, it is.
Okay, maybe you shouldn't watch it because about 60% of them were not serious questions.
Oh, I'd say like 80-90%. It was mostly pretty bad interview.
Yeah.
But his response to that was, yeah, that might be why they fell. Maybe the people from Eorzea should go over there and play tanks for them.
Which is a good response.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 more questions here. This question I'm kind of interested in. All the questions I'm interested in, sorry. But this one I'm a little bit more interested in than the other ones. It was in regards to kind of non-battle daily jobs. The question was, a lot of players log in every day to do dailies for beast tribes. Most of the quests, though, lack a lot of interaction outside of picking up items and killing 1 or 2 monsters. Although, riding around in mounts and casting its abilities always seems to be kind of refreshing. It gives players something different to do. Has there been any consideration to making daily quests more non-battle related, something quick and enjoyable outside of the daily normal content? And Yoshida's response was, to match with Stormblood timing, we are currently improving the tools to broaden the range of play so people can have a different quest experience. Also, your aforementioned something different to do is a quest, or wait, hold on. Also, aforementioned quote unquote something different to do in a quest is a big theme issue. So we will be bolstering this even beyond the release of Stormblood. So that pretty much says introducing Stormblood, they are going to be changing up and giving a quest more than just go and kill a monster.
Yeah, that sounds like they're alluding to some new tech they might have going on, some new kind of
I hope there's
quest
new
objective.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was mainly looking forward to that. And the reason I asked that question is I have to, of course, go back to my WoW days during Wrath of the Lich King, right? And so there was a couple of quests where you just fly around and you just like shoot stuff with a dragon, and like 3 of the quests were just dragon. You're on a dragon doing dragon stuff. And I thought if they went over and they just start creating this new kind of quest experience, I would be more inclined to go do this daily stuff because it's kind of enjoyable versus doing a very redundant, kind of boring. To me, I'm sorry, this is me. I don't have a lot of fun going out and just killing a monster really quick and being done.
You know what? As long as they're not escort quests, any variety is good. But just don't give us escort quests because everyone hates escort quests. I don't want to beckon things.
Fair enough. Yeah,
so just don't do those quests. No one likes.
Maybe they change up how escort quests work so you don't have to beckon. They just eliminate beckon from them.
No, that's still not good.
I don't know. I just get tired of beckoning. If they've just followed you automatically, I'd be kind of better with that. I wouldn't mind as much. It's just when they're not doing that, it's kind of rough.
Man, I remember when that used to be the fastest way to level.
Yeah.
You just go burn all your leaves and just beckon, run, just kite all the mobs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not wrong. It was the fastest way to level.
Okay, so the next question, final question here is talking about the elements that they might be carrying over to Stormblood from Heavensward. The question was, throughout Heavensward, there have been a lot of really great additions to the game. What was the biggest success in your mind with the Heavensward expansion that you hope to expand upon in Stormblood? Yoshida responded, content which you could play at a more casual level, such as Aquapolis and Deep Dungeon, are game experiences that were never seen in Final Fantasy XIV before, and there are always many players playing these. So I believe these were great updates. In the future, I would love to make more content like these, to make more content like these show up again in a new way in Stormblood. So if you guys like Aquapolis and Deep Dungeon, then you might be happy because they will probably be making more content similar to that.
Yeah, I think those are pretty good success from Heavensward. They're kind of like a bit more bite-sized sort of content you can do. You can, hop on, maybe do 10, floors of Deep Dungeon, or do a couple maps, maybe do an Aquapop.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you guys have heard all of the questions. Were these okay questions? Were these horrible questions?
They're better than most Q&As.
Okay.
Yeah, no, those are the good questions for sure.
I mean, there's a couple of things that I really wanted to find out about, kind of what they would be doing for hardcore rating going forward. And that was just a suggestion. I just wanted to make sure that I had that in Yoshi's ear. I just wanted him to know that's something that I would be interested in seeing happening.
Got the Inception in there.
Yeah. And then, there's a couple other things like PvP. There's been a lot of gripes for. And of course, I had to ask the feast question because that's like the biggest gripe. I hear it every single day. Is that feast chat question. And it wasn't the answer a lot of people might have been looking for, but that's what it is at the moment. So, all right. Well, that's it. That's it for questions, guys. I hope that this revealed something to you. And I hope you enjoyed the little bit of information you might have gotten out of that. We have about 4 more minutes here. I think we need to start ending off this segment. So, guys, thank you very much for coming on the show. You guys have been absolutely amazing throughout the last 100 episodes. And I need to see you guys on more. I know we're about to hit our lull in Final Fantasy XIV content. So
it's the darkest of times.
Yeah. So we're going to have to see how that works out going forward in the future with our next few shows. In fact, we might have Ark on the next week's show if we can have that show. And we're going to be talking about how Final Fantasy XIV handles loot. Because, of course, the 280 died. I'm Gary.
I don't think that'll be the main focus, but there's a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah. So I know Ark's very passionate about that. So hopefully next week we can have that show. I'm supposed to be out of town. I'm going to try to make hotel internet or something work. I'm going to just do it. Like one of my biggest goals, but I'm not going to stream with it. All right. So the idea is to get like a remote login going into this computer, and then I just be on the Skype call and I run it from the computer at home, like OBS and everything else. So it might be
what
a little.
could go wrong?
Nothing go wrong.
Sounds like it could work.
It might work.
Crazy enough.
Okay. I guess Kerr has a lot of viewer questions. We're gonna have to shotgun through these, though. Are you guys okay with that?
All right, let's go. Lightning round.
All right, here we go. We're MogTalk, viewer questions. All right, so shotgun. Cryogenesis. Does Ark play a game or played a game very much lately, or is he on break? Talking about Final Fantasy 14.
I'm pretty much on break till the expansion, but I'll be on here and there to do story and stuff like that, but very, very limited play. Like I said, I'm catching up in a lot of other games. I'm like expanding my MMO knowledge by like playing with a lot of friends on Legion and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to like do as much as I can before I like binge on the expansion when it comes out. I'll be back. Yep.
Okay. Dark Aeon, what are you most looking forward to in Stormplay, excluding the jobs? And I am going to say this to Balana.
I'm looking forward most to would be changes to Summoner.
You should have said hardcore achievements.
That too.
Changes to Summoner. Okay. Toxic Mosquito. Why do people keep asking about fucking glamour? Ark, do you know why people keep asking about glamour?
Oh, you mean on the PAX thing?
Yeah.
Isn't that the true
Any
game though?
Any Q&A is always about glamour.
It's accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
I think maybe we don't have like maybe there's like a large part of like the Final Fantasy population that we don't represent enough on MogTalk, and you just have a bunch of glamour shows all the time. Like maybe we're just missing like the show's not appealing to enough people
because we don't have glamour. Yeah.
We don't have glamour talks. Like that's what everyone cares about, and we've never talked about it really. So there you go, Frosty.
Show
Frosty
ideas.
Show win.
Okay. Thunder God. When will Sophia return to MogTalk? Next caster show probably. Next caster show. No, we'll probably have him on our show. He's a pretty cool guy. Paladin fanboy. Can we talk about polyethylene tarpaulin parties? I can't pronounce that. I'm not gonna give you an answer.
No.
Okay. Please, just curious, what do you personally think is the worst part of MogTalk? What do I personally think is the worst part of MogTalk is my voice. I can't stand it. I hate my voice so much. But that's it. I'm just going to have to run with it. I have to deal with it, guys. Thunder God question for Frosty. Why are your guests always white? Because they don't go outside.
Yeah.
Experts in Final Fantasy 14 don't go outside. There you go. Done with that. Troll questions. Do you have job predictions for 5.0? I already told you it's going to be Blue Mage and it's going to be Dancer. All right. Snarters, who is Frosty? Shut up, Snarters. Dude is Antonio, who is Snarters? That's a good question. Dark Aeon, is it... Okay, and all this stuff. I'm going to delete all these troll questions. They're not even funny, guys. They're just boring troll questions.
I like how Kurt's still tracking them, though.
Yeah, still tracking them.
Very diligent.
Okay, so I think that's it. That's it for this part. Guys, I want you to do a shout out to both of you guys. Thank you so much for contributing so much to the show. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate you. And I look forward to you guys on the next few shows that we're going to have.
Yeah, thanks as always, for having me on, Frosty. Thanks for putting this out for the community, and congratulations on 100 episodes.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you, dude. And I don't think any of you guys stream right now, right?
Yeah, not so much.
Okay. If you guys want to check out them streaming, their stream tags are at the bottom of their nameplates, and so feel free to go ahead and just subscribe to them, just to do it, and maybe you'll see them playing something like Doom or Zelda, maybe. All right, guys, we will be back here in just a couple minutes. I got to get the next segment ready, which I believe, are you guys ready for what the next segment is? You know what the next segment's going to be, right? Yeah? World First Tanking with Layla and Voxful.
Ooh. Better stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and set up, guys. Thank you very much for watching. See you in just about less than 10 minutes. Bye! Do your awkward wave. Do say bye at the same time you're doing it.
Bye.
Okay, there we go.